Most people conceive or get pregnant in the usual way, but this doesn't work for everyone. Some people have fertility issues, but what's really reassuring is if someone has fertility issues, it doesn't mean they need to be childless. There are many alternate ways of conceiving. And on today's episode, we're going to explore some of these. We're also going to touch upon another important issue in parenting, single parents, and how some of these parents manage to play the role of both parents to their kids. On the show today, an honest one-on-one with a top businesswoman, Schauna Chaunan on surrogacy.
You know, the first and most important thing is don't be afraid of surrogacy and don't be afraid that the child is not going to have a bond with you. And that's a lot of questions that people are also ask, you know. In fact, that's the first question that they ask. And there is no such thing like that.
A chat with my dear friend Penny Patel on the pros and cons of IVF.
You landed taking close to 3 injections a day during that 1 month of IVF. I think my strength in IVF all 5 times is I knew it's something I wanted more than anything, a baby, but I didn't let it take over my life.
And a tete-a-tete with Pooja Bedi on being a single mom.
Omar was 2 years old and Alia was 5. Weekdays they were with me, weekends they would go to Farhan. Made sure it was a very amicable space between all of us. Farhan and me divorced each other. That doesn't mean we divorced the children. We will all together always be a family.
I spoke to a top businesswoman, the CEO of Parle Agro, Schauna Chaunan, about her experiences in mummyhood and her experiences with surrogacy. So, being a mummy show, cliched as it sounds, first question, what does motherhood mean to you and how do you feel being a mom?
There's a lot more responsibility now. Having Jahan is my son's name. He's a year and 3 months old. And my life has become so chaotic and so different now. So, it's exciting. The things that I see every day, you know, each day is just a new day now, you know, something different that happens with my son, which is a lot fun. And he's actually my buddy, you know.
Now coming to, you know, a more sort of sensitive space, you've been really honest and open about having done surrogacy. And I think that's fantastic. Would you like to tell us a little bit about that and how you went about it? Because we have a lot of people who've actually expressed interest in learning more about how to go about it.
You know, the first and most important thing is don't be afraid of surrogacy and don't be afraid that the child is not going to have a bond with you. And that's a lot of questions that people are also ask, you know. In fact, that's the first question that they ask. And there is no such thing like that. You know, the mom and the child, it's a different thing once the kid is born, and it's an automatic bonding.
But initially, when you made the decision that your baby was going to be carried in someone else's womb, was that something that you were mentally prepared for?
I was mentally ready for it. I'd done a couple of IVFs myself on me, which didn't work. And then I said, why not look at the surrogacy option? And I was totally open to it. And so my in-laws were open to it. My parents were open to it. And most important, my husband was open to it. So that's the option that we looked at. And the first time that we did with a surrogate, that failed. And then we tried again. We didn't stop trying. And that's another thing. You know, we kept on trying. And then the second time when I did it with a surrogate, it worked out.
That must have been really tough that the IVF didn't work for several cycles and then the first surrogacy didn't work. I mean, clearly you're a very strong person with great support emotionally to have persevered. What was that journey like?
I've totally forgotten all the things that I had gone through. And I didn't tell anyone actually. And then one day I got a call on my mobile that, you know, she's going into labor. I didn't know how to react, you know. I was just stunned and I was thinking like, what do I say? What do I do?
So how did you feel when you first held Jahan?
I went to the hospital and she had already delivered. And then the doctor brought little Jahan out and I was just like staring at him. Oh my God, he's so little. You have to go through it to know what it feels like, you know. It's not something that you can even describe.
I agree. So, but you were aware through the pregnancy so were you
totally
in touch with
involved.
the surrogate mama or no? So you
and that was my decision. Okay, that was a decision I took. That's an option to everyone. But I was in touch touch with the doctors.
Yeah. Okay,
You know, so I
you-
would get the reports.
Yeah.
I'd know what's happening in the sonographies.
Yeah.
So there was a, daily, weekly,
Updates.
as and when you wanted.
So did you identify the surrogate mom, or do the doctors do that? What's the process?
The thing is, the process for me with this agency that I worked with, they put them online and you get all their health certificates and the blood reports and
Yeah.
a little background about themselves. Now, I left it to the doctor
Yeah.
because I'm no one to decide this.
So I think honestly it's fantastic, and as you said, the emotions, the bonding is just the same.
It's
and
absolutely the same. The baby's going to look like you because
Of course,
it's your genes and everything. So you don't have to worry about all of that, because that is one of the concerns that comes through a lot of people.
is there any message you have for parents who are watching, or anyone?
There's one thing that I really want to say, what I learned through this whole surrogate process, that one must not give up if they strongly believe in it. You know, you keep going till you can, till you've exhausted all your resources, till you've exhausted all possibilities before you say that, definitely now there's something, it's not in my hands anymore.
Yeah.
But until it's in your hand and you can control the situation, you should still keep going at it.
Thank you very
Thanks
much.
a lot, Tara.
I spoke to a very dear friend, Penny Patel, who's been through 5 cycles of IVF, and our chat was really eye-opening. So tell us about IVF and how it all happened.
Well, IVF, in vitro fertilization, is basically a treatment, which is what a lot of us who out there have not been able to conceive naturally. It's a savior. It's helped so many women out there have their babies. It's as simple as that. It's not the most easiest of procedures. It's very intense.
Yeah.
So as someone who's been through 5 IVFs, I would advise each one out there to think about it before you get into it, because it's hard on the family, on your husband, because it's you doing the treatment, but the side effects, so to say, are not the best. So basically, it's a treatment where they suppress your natural cycle.
Right.
They start giving you injections, and the idea is to create that many eggs. And when the eggs are ready, they're retrieved. It's called the retrieval process. They are then united with the sperm.
Yeah.
And a couple of days later, you're told, okay, these many eggs are really good embryos.
Yeah.
When I did it, I was put about 5 eggs. And then the next 2 weeks are what I call the really intense, because that's the time you just wait. You just wait. And more injections. So you have injections before, after. You land up taking close to 3 injections a day.
Wow.
During that 1 month of IVF.
Yeah.
The day of the 2 weeks getting over, it's either a yes or a no. So we've had many, well, I had all 5 disappointing times.
I can imagine. That must have been tough.
It was intense. I have to say my husband was amazing.
Yeah.
My family, my parents, my brother, all my friends, you know, it's not something you just talk about or that I'm on it.
Yeah.
But your close friends do know.
Yeah.
And they do understand. A lot of people those last 2 weeks decide to stay home and don't even step out. There's some have the fear, especially the first time, are they going to fall out? It's nothing like that. Life has to go on.
Yeah.
I think my strength in IVF all 5 times is I knew it's something I wanted more than anything, a baby. But I didn't let it take over my life. I thought I would give myself a 6-month break and then think of surrogacy, adoption. I was determined to have a kid, but I needed a break.
Yeah.
5 months later, feeling a bit strange, refuse to get a test, but 6 weeks into it, I'm pregnant, naturally.
Wow, that's amazing.
Elena,
Yeah.
she's in class.
We're in
with
class
Kai,
together,
and possibly the most amazing thing to happen to us. I mean, she's
Miracle.
beautiful. She's a miracle.
She is.
She's just our life, you know.
Yeah.
And so
That was so lovely, Penny. Thank you so much.
thank you.
Thank you.
Great being here.
Coming up, a tete-a-tete with Pooja Bedi on being a single mother.
You've got to this space where you're in charge of every single thing in your orbit. It all depends on you. I don't want my kids growing up thinking it's normal for parents to fight, to be bitter, to sleep in separate rooms, to have that space. That's not normal. Absolutely. I don't want them seeing a situation like that thinking that is what marriage is. That is not what marriage is or should ever be.
Every parent's situation is different. Some may have trouble conceiving, and some may be playing the role of both parents to their kids. I had a candid chat with the gorgeous Pooja Bedi, who opened up about being a single mom to her two gorgeous kids. First things first, being a mummy show and a parenting show, what does motherhood mean to you, and how did you change as a person when you became a mom?
You know, firstly, I have to say that I think ever since the age of 16, I have wanted to be a mother. Then, of course, there's the issue of let's find the right person to be a father. You know, and am I the right stage of my life to get married?
Right.
And you have all these practical things that you need to sort out before you can actually get on with the business of having kids.
Right.
You know, because it has to all be very well thought of. For me, everything in life, be it marriage, be it children, has to be a very well-planned experience.
Yes.
You realize once your kids are born that they don't come with manuals, you know, how to operate manuals. Because at the end of the day, every kid is so unique.
Absolutely.
And every kid has their own incredible personality. I mean, my two kids couldn't be more polar.
Really?
As individuals, and yet they've eaten the same food, they stayed in the same room, they've had the same holidays, they have the same family, they have the same experiences, they go to the same school, and they're just so different. My daughter is really vibrant and extroverted, and you know, and arty and all of that. My son is really sort of introverted, and he's very he's a thinker. He loves to play football. I look at the two of them and I go, wow, how does that happen? Like, how can you rear two plants in the same pot and have them of the same variety, you know, and then just see them bloom into totally two different creations. Well, I have to share something really sweet with you, which is, you know, I got divorced and then I'm the single parent. And when you're a single parent, there's so much you have to juggle. It's like you want to be Ma Durga and you need 10 hands to handle everything. You're a nurturer. You're a provider. You're playing the role of the mother and of the father. You're a mem saab. I'm a pet owner. You have two beautiful kids. You're mommy in, you know, 24/7 mode. You know, you're a working person. You have a social life. You have friends. You need to network. You need to work out. You know, there's just so much you need to do on a daily basis.
Yes.
And it's overwhelming. So I remember I came home and something happened to the kids' homework, or one remark was made saying that homework not submitted on time. And I looked at them and I said, kids, you have to understand one thing. Mama works very, 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 very hard. And I'm doing so many different things. And I said, I don't expect you to do my work. So please don't expect me to do your work. I don't expect you to pester me to do my job. Please don't make me pester you to do what's your responsibility. And they just looked at me. And ever since that day, I've never had to say, do your homework. I've never had a remark. They're brilliant students. I mean, I'm so proud of my kids because though I've been there for them and I've been this really active, involved mother, the fact is they've actually done it by themselves, at least academically. You know, it's their achievements and I'm so proud of them.
So how did you actually tell them about you and Farhan separating?
Having been the product of a couple that was divorced, I saw that the best way to actually go about it was the way my mother handled it. She didn't make anything an issue. Everything was very easy and fluid and beautiful. Papa was wonderful. She was wonderful. The divorce was wonderful. We never felt that we were abandoned or neglected, etc., etc. The same with my kids. They were very tiny. Omar was 2 years old and Alia was 5. Weekdays, they were with me. Weekends, they would go to Farhan. Made sure it was a very amicable space between all of us. Farhan and me divorced each other. That doesn't mean we divorced the children. They will always be, we will all together always be a family. There was just one time when Alia asked me, she said, Mama, everyone's papa stay with them. How come our papa doesn't stay with us? And I looked at her and I said, Alia, you know, when papa was here, there was so much like fighting and nonsense and all going on in the house. She said, yeah, Mama, my ears used to pain. I said, see? I said, now Mama is so happy and Papa is so happy and you're here with Mama. It's all happy, happy. When you go to Papa's home, it's also happy, happy. So for them, it was a question of everything is happy, happy. So there was nothing to be worried about or concerned about or, you know, feel upset about.
And that's amazing because I think a lot of times people stay together as they say for the children, but actually it can go horribly wrong if you do that and it's not actually a happy environment and you're forcing it.
The situation is twofold. One is you compromise your own self and you compromise your own life, you compromise your own happiness. Yes, sometimes we marry with the best intentions and we have the sense of it has to last forever. We all want a fairy tale. We all want that knight on a horse who'll come galloping in, sweep you off your feet, and this whole concept of the happily ever after. But sometimes it's not meant to be. And do you turn around and say, because I had 12 good years, now things have changed, it's come to a point, it's irreparable. So do I want 50 bad years, or do I want to say, thank you for the 12 good years, but I'd really like the rest of my life to be equally fantastic.
Absolutely.
I don't want to compromise it. I don't want my kids growing up thinking it's normal for parents to fight, to be bitter, to sleep in separate rooms, to have that space. That's not normal. I don't want them seeing a situation like that thinking that is what marriage is. That is not what marriage is or should ever be.
Yeah.
And the beautiful part is my kids have grown up so well-rounded, so wholesome. They're such happy people.
And do you think they believe in the fairy tale?
I certainly hope everybody on this planet believes in this perfect fairy tale, because I believe sometimes it is possible. Sometimes maybe not with number 1 or even number 2. Maybe you have to get to number 3. Who knows?
Have you found number 3?
No, I haven't found number 2 also. Where's number 3?
Number 2. No, but so do you date? I mean, you do date, right?
Yeah,
so,
I mean,
and
I'm human.
Of course. So when did you
You know?
start? When did you start dating again?
It took a bit of time because I think one is naturally apprehensive. Also, there's a sense of responsibility for your children. You're adapting to a whole new environment around you.
Yeah.
You've got to this space where you're in charge of every single thing in your orbit. It all depends on you. And also, there's this incredible emotional responsibility you feel for your children. And you just want to make sure they're okay first.
Yes.
Because you don't want them to be victimized by your decisions. You don't want them to bear the brunt of it.
Yeah.
So I think I really enjoyed my kids at that point of time. Of course, I had to get back to earning. I didn't take a rupee in alimony. So that was really scary for me.
Wow.
And panicking because before marriage, I had a fantastic lifestyle I was affording for myself through movies and theater and modeling and all of that. And, during marriage, my husband made me give up my career to help him build his. And there you are, you're divorced, you have no alimony because court systems in India, as you know, they're terrible. Yeah, you can fight it out for 10 years or 15 years and have a terrible relationship with the man while you're fighting. You can say, you know what, okay, you don't want to give me anything, that's fine, but at least be a great dad to the kids,
Right.
And
so you literally, honestly, financially had to
start from scratch in your 30s, and you're terrified because it is scary,
Of course, I'm sure.
and this industry is all I've ever known. And it's so amazing. I started writing the column, I started my talk show, and I never looked back. And, afforded a fantastic lifestyle for myself.
That's amazing. Super commendable.
Beyond the fact that I felt like I needed to multitask all my different roles. And then there's the fact that you have to balance having kids and having that work life, which is integral to who you want to be in your life, give you a personal sense of satisfaction, and also the income. You need the income.
When you actually separated from Farhan, how difficult was it for you? The kids we've talked about and how you managed telling them and stuff. But what did you feel? Like, how did you deal with
beyond the fact that I felt like I needed to multitask all my different roles. And then there's the fact that you have to balance having kids and having that work life, which is integral to who you want to be in your life, give you a personal sense of satisfaction, and also the income. You need the income.
Yeah.
Yes, the hours are very demanding in this profession. And yes, I think my kids have been extremely patient and lenient with me in that aspect. They haven't been clingy kids. They were happy I went because it meant mama's earning money. If mama earns money, mama can buy us fun things. We get nice clothes, we get nice toys, we get nice outings, we get nice experiences. So mama going out to work meant that their lives and our lives together were fuller in every possible way. So you have to let them know there has to be a dialogue between parent and child. You cannot let them seem like it's a terrible tragedy that's come upon you to be a single parent, because then that becomes a reality.
But how did you feel emotionally in terms of, were you very alone, or do you feel that you had the infrastructure and the help and great friends and support system to get you through?
It was actually very tiring physically. It's very demanding on you emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, in every possible way to be a single parent. But in the end, there's this focus that says, why do I choose to leave? I choose to leave because I'm unhappy. So if I'm going to leave space of unhappiness and then still be unhappy, I should have stayed.
Right.
So the idea of leaving that is to be happy. So you work actively on what it takes, whatever it takes, to make you happy.
So what would be a mummy quote, as you are a fountain of amazing quotes? What would you like to say to the mummies out there who find you very inspirational?
What I'd really like to tell every mother out there is, I know sometimes we get into this rut of motherhood, but motherhood should never be a rut. Please have fun with your kids. We as parents forget this whole concept of fun. I can't emphasize enough to mothers out there the importance of physical touch. Have a child in your arms while you're reading them a book. Even if you're watching TV, hug them, kiss them, throw one leg over them. Have some contact with your children. They've come from you. They've come through you. Just don't lose that connection, that physical connection, that emotional connection, that spiritual connection. Don't make it mundane. Please don't get into the rut of mummyhood. Enjoy it.
Thank you so much for coming on the show.
It's been a pleasure.
Talking to all these wonderfully inspirational parents reiterates my belief that every parent is a superhero and everyone's situation is different. As Schauna rightly said, whatever the situation may be, never give up. And these mums are examples of just that. Next week, our finale episode with some inspirational people, like one of India's top attorneys, Zia Modi, a 10-year-old published author, Kashvi Barjatia, the founder of Teach for India, Shaheen Mistry, and a tete-a-tete with the champion boxer, magnificent MC Mary Kom, and her husband Onla on parenthood.
Of course, my husband is always supporting me. And before the marriage, it was all, we are already commit, you know.
That he'll allow you to box.
Yes.
That was the condition.
Yeah.
Do keep writing into me on our social media platforms and sharing your stories. I'd love to hear your views and suggestions.